So my name is Chukwuemeka Chikezie, gallant Pan-Africanist. Welcome to this Sierra Leone Country Investment Summit. As I said, they will try and kick us out after the end of our time. So we will have to be a little bit more concise than we originally planned. And we want to thank our sponsors for this, BII and Invest Alone. Of course, that's the British government, FCDO. And I think we'll really want to consolidate and build on the great start we had yesterday in really taking forward this conversation within the context of AFSIC. And so without further ado, let me first invite Chief Minister Dr. David Moinina Senge to give us a few brief opening remarks.
Thank you very much. It's exciting. I know that there are some people who are in here who will be asking, why Sierra Leone? And the goal is, by the end of, not my speech, but the panel and the interaction, you will be asking, why not Sierra Leone? We have two panels, as we've heard, that will come forward. One is on investment. It will profile the recent transactions that have taken place. And the other one is on the ecosystem, what we're doing to strengthen and develop the ecosystem to build a pipeline of companies who can benefit from the growing FDI that's available. We already have excellent examples here of companies who 2 years ago wouldn't have benefited from investments and deals that were signed here, but they went through a program with Invest Alone and with several of the partners, TA support, initial capital, and now they are ready to, as they say, play with the big boys. I want to start by thanking our major FDI partners. The UK has been tremendous. The minute BII decided to make Sierra Leone a priority country, the only priority country in Africa, and I think one of two currently. They don't like us to say it too loudly, but it is a wonderful thing because we have a shared interest of demonstrating that impact can be had and felt quicker when you have a commitment to make profits, a commitment to protect your people and make your people earn, and to protect the planet as well. So BII, Propaco, and FMO, and several of the bilateral or government development organizations who have worked with us and with BII, we thank you and we continue to appreciate you and welcome you as you invest more and more. Some of you only started investing 2-3 years ago and already 50 million knee-deep. BII is in the hundreds, and we have some private sector investors like AFSIC who are in the 550 million plus. I shared yesterday, I was doing some analysis, that in the last 3 years, Sierra Leone has received about 2 billion in FDI committed. This is real money that's shaping real lives. When Planet Solar gets investment from these FDIs, they create solar energy in Sierra Leone, they generate income, pay taxes, they create jobs for people, and they provide welfare in the communities where they are. When Jolax exports, builds a refinery, it's jobs for people who are providing those oil, it's manufacturing jobs, and it's taxes that the country gets. When FG Gold becomes alive, it's hundreds of millions guaranteed to the government in taxes. So FDI is a sure way in which we can build our economy, in which we can ensure that money goes into the hands of our pocket. And if you really want money to go back into your pockets as investors, Sierra Leone is where you need to be, because as you will hear today, there are people who have gotten their monies out happily. And I'll mention just 3 or 4 things for you to remember during this conversation. And I'll let the technical people come and speak to you about the stories that you want to hear. Sierra Leone has a national development plan. That national development plan is clear and focused as day. His Excellency President Dr. Julius Maada Bio has, in that plan, said that we will be a middle-income country by 2039. We need to move bulk of our people out of poverty. And that national development plan has 5 priorities. Agriculture, and many of the investments that we see in the room have to do with agriculture and food processing, climate resilient agriculture, climate energy, forestry. We have human capital development, skills training. Some of this is both soft and hard investments. Youth employment, which really is an output or an outcome from some of the investments that many of you are doing. Technology and innovation, we're seeing how that lays the groundwork, and I'll expand on it a little bit later on as something government is doing extensively. And finally, public sector reform, integrity in our systems, ensuring that transactions are clear and above board, and good governance and security. So it's really important because you want to be in a country where the leadership is clear, where the vision is clear, and the president and the entire team all sing from the same hymn book. The second thing is building institutions. The National Investment Board, the executive director and the team from the NIB are in here, and they've been working to put this together. They have worked with companies, take ideas from ideas to across the line. And that's what we built the NIB for in 2022, and it continues to grow and expand into a one-stop shop for investors. The third thing is laws and regulations. You want to know that you yourself are safe and secure as your investments. And the Attorney General is in the room with us and has been on the panels so that when you doubt me, you can ask him. He cannot lie by law. Not that I lie at all. I don't lie by principle. He just can't by law. Our investments are secure. Your investments are secure. Your safety is guaranteed. Sierra Leone is the 2nd safest country in West Africa, 5th in Africa. And I don't say this often because my mother gets very angsty when I say it. I drive myself at night, late at night, and she doesn't like to hear that. But that just tells you how safe it is. We also have built laws, the Land Commissions Act, the Customary Land Rights Act, and these laws are in place to ensure that those who are investing in agriculture, in solar, if you're putting solar farms somewhere, you need good land and you need security of your land as well. You don't want somebody to come and fight you after you have installed your solar plants. So we have very clear and really protected customary land rights laws, and we are looking to implement those. The Arbitration Act of 2022 has a very important point for you to remember. That is enforcement of foreign judgment. And if you're a company who's looking to work in Sierra Leone, you're guaranteed that. We have the fast-track commercial courts that exist, and the AG and the entire team, and the Ministry of Communication is also here, working on the IP framework law and the startup bill to ensure that startups and SMEs are protected. Business regulation and company law is being reviewed between the NIB and the Ministry of Justice. And these are just a few of the many, 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 many things that the government is doing to ensure that when you come to Sierra Leone, you will not leave. The fourth and final thing I'll speak to is the ecosystem, digital ecosystem. We are putting in the building blocks such that your businesses can thrive. We are nearly 100% 3G in the country. We have expanded the number of people who have access to broadband, who have access to reliable internet. Starlink is everywhere, but we also have 5G fiber all in every location in the city and in many of the major district headquarter towns. We have sandboxes where startups work with government to ensure that everybody's protected. You're not breaking the law. You're building the law with the regulators. And the regulators are sitting beside you and seeing how you're coding and how that affects the people's lives. Within the ports, within agricultural processing, within energy, these opportunities are live and ready for your investment. What Sierra Leone has done and is doing with the UK government is extraordinary. It is important to indicate this, because I got asked this a lot yesterday by The Economist, The Independent, and BBC this morning. Two important points. We're not making a tax haven for companies who don't want to pay taxes in Sierra Leone. We're inviting companies who want the incentives, including tax, as they develop, such that they are willing and ready to contribute back into the economy. We are not a place for companies who are not good. We're a place where good companies become better. The second thing that I want to mention is, as we promote trade and investment, we're not saying that we should not give grants to give children vaccines or to protect our national public health agencies. When COVID or another version of a pandemic comes back, the role that countries like Sierra Leone played were very important. Very early on, we were one of the few countries that provided genomic data to help the world respond to COVID. And these are lessons we learned from our response in Ebola, supported by the British government. So it's not either or. We need to save babies' lives, and we need to ensure that the mothers of those babies have the right jobs to take care of those babies as they grow up. We need vaccines, and we need investment to pure water companies. Thank you very much.
Chief Minister, thank you very much. You set the scene for us very helpfully. And moving swiftly on, we have now a panel discussion. Panel 1, past and future transactions, and what are the key drivers for success. So it's really important that we dive into the things that we've done, see what actually has worked. So for that, I'm delighted to invite our moderator, who is the West Africa Supremo with BII, Kwabena Asante Poku, or he's coverage director for Africa, but I thought he was a Supremo of West Africa as well. And I will invite Kwabena to come up, and I'll also invite the panelists, and that's Sebastian Ashong Katai, EcoBank MD in Sierra Leone, another Ghanaian, bit of a mafia here developing, and Margaret Caddy, the Acuna Group, Thomas Husson, Propaco, Kofi Macaulay, Sewa Energy, and another Ghanaian, Vera, whose surname has mysteriously escaped my mind. But Vera, please come forward, from ARIA. She's country manager for ARIA, and she's not on this list, but she's on another list. My apologies there. And with that, we've got enough seats? Yep, over to you, Kwabena.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Okay. Good afternoon, everybody.
As the Chief Minister summarized, Sierra Leone is ready for investments. DFIs and other international investors have been doing business in Sierra Leone and have been making money. Today we've assembled a panel of people who've invested in Sierra Leone and are looking to do more as well. And we would like them to share their experiences, their challenges, and what excites them about Sierra Leone. I would start with you, Seb. BI recently invested in EcoBank. How did that transaction come about, and what has been the impact of that transaction?
Okay, thank you very much. It came about because we have existing relationships with BII across Africa, and the local team had conversations. We ended up structuring a risk-sharing agreement with an envelope of $25 million over 5 years. The idea to catalyze lending into the areas of agriculture, energy, manufacturing, and to support SMEs more broadly. So that program has been running for a year now. It's actually allowed us to extend much longer tenor than we typically would have done for many customers. A lot of the traditional lending that we do is lending over a year or 2 years max. But with the capacity that we have from BII, we're able to support customers lending up to 5, 7 years. We've supported BSB, a flour mill in the country. We've supported a major commodities trading entity to extend warehouses as well. It's called SAD and SAD. We're in the process of doing a transaction with Capital Foods. I see the CEO is here in the room right now. And we've got a healthy pipeline of transactions that we intend to take along. What we've done already has generated hundreds of jobs at the moment, actually. And the way it works is when BII gives us an envelope of $25 million, that catalyzes financing of up to about $75 million, because we also put some of our own capital behind these transactions. So we're really quite excited about the arrangement. The ambition is to fully use it up before 5 years, because it's a 5-year transaction. We're planning by the end of 2025. Yes, planning by the end of 2025 to have lent out the entire envelope. And then we renew it, we get some more in, and we continue to push real lending into the economy, as opposed to perhaps just buying government treasuries, which many people think is all that banks do.
Okay.
I had to put that one in.
Yeah, you had to. Margaret, the Akuna Group has already laid some roots in Sierra Leone already. Can you tell us about the group and what the future looks like?
Of course. Hello. Yes, so the Akuna Group is actually a media and entertainment conglomerate founded by Idris Elba. But we operate on 3 verticals in Sierra Leone, one being the creative economy, infrastructure and energy, and agriculture. In terms of agriculture, we've been working in Sierra Leone since 2022. We're headquartered in Kenema, where we partner with a Swiss-based company called Cocoa Source. We export cocoa, cashew, and coffee at the moment. But when I came on board as COO, I said to them, I think we need to start thinking about value addition in country instead of just exporting raw materials. So we now are all in agreement, and we're planning to open a chocolate factory in Sierra Leone. As such, we have purchased a plot of land in Lunge, which is 10 minutes away from the airport, so it's quite strategic, and we want to build that space out. So the idea is to put a hotel. We're in talks with a global hotel chain, which I can't name at the moment, to come to Sierra Leone, which would be absolutely amazing, not just for Sierra Leone, but for the region, And we hope to put a film studio there.
Okay.
I mean, my chairman, Idris Elba, is big on creating jobs. And to me, as COO, it sits very nicely with the president's agenda of creating employment and human capital development. So we work in line with what the agenda is for the government. Akuna Cocoa has been doing very well, and we partnered with a local chocolatier in London called Paul Wayne Gregory, and he has been working with us to create chocolate truffles using beans from Sierra Leone. We also own a drinks brand, so we're using our champagne paired with cocoa beans from Sierra Leone. So we're experimenting at the moment.
Okay.
But to me, just to say, there's not just the people, but there's quality product in Sierra Leone. And we're trying to show that in such a luxurious way that's palatable for anybody anywhere in the world.
Do you have some samples of the chocolate here?
Not quite.
Okay.
I'll be back.
Sure. Thomas, Propaco, like BI, has been invested in Sierra Leone. What excites you and Propaco about Sierra Leone?
Thank you for the opportunity and for the question. I have to think about this champagne and chocolate. As a Frenchman, I'm a bit puzzled by it. But we have to discuss it. The point I wanted to underline is that I can speak about the experience of Propaco investing in Sierra Leone. It's been growing. Actually, our first investment in 2022 was in the energy sector, a project actually with BI and FMO in the energy sector. Mm-hmm. It was a $6 million US equity investment to build a program of solar projects for 50 megawatts. We also have another energy investment that was done indirectly for a fund. So our very first commitments were actually in the energy sector. Then, actually, thanks to ARIA, we had a very nice opportunity to invest in Jolax, which is a Sierra Leone's company, on their capex investments. They are producing palm oil. They had a capex program on different topics, and we made a lot of $20 million US to them last year. And now we are looking at two other projects that will be, I think, one is already signed, actually, will be announced in a couple of weeks in Freetown, and the other one is in progress, actually, with UBI. Yeah. Also in the agro value chain and in logistics linked to the agro value chain. So we are going to do at least in the last 2 years, including these two additional ones, we are going to do 4 investments in the agro value chain, which is really impressive. What I wanted to say is that as DFIs, we don't intervene in a vacuum. If we are at the end of an investment chain, and everything has to be in place for us to intervene. And I just want to say that in Sierra Leone, the bricks or the stars seem to be increasingly aligned, which is very encouraging for us, and which is why we are doing 4 investments in a couple of years. The first one is that we see a clear commitment from government to articulate a long-term vision for the future of Sierra Leone, which gives stability, and in this long-term vision, there are clear value chains that are identified as areas of investment or excellence in the country: mining, agro, tourism. There is also a commitment to sound macroeconomic policies. There is also a commitment to improving the business environment for companies to invest in, making it easier to register companies, improving the legal framework for lending. So all this hard work is being done progressively. And also there is, I have to say, there is the presence of very interesting programs to help companies be investment ready, which is what ARIA is all about, and also Invest Alone, I should say. And so that helped quite a lot, actually. The companies we're working with, not in all cases, but in many cases, they had to rely on pre-investment technical assistance, just to make sure we're able to be at the required level for investments, be it on financial management or on ESG issues, which are always really important for us as DFIs. And so in Sierra Leone, what we see is that there is all these bricks that are aligned or are coming together, and which creates an environment that we are increasingly comfortable to invest in. And it's what we have seen, and I think it creates a great impact in the country. And we are very happy about these 4 investments over the last couple of years. I mean, assuming that the 4th one will be passed, but the first 3 are already passed and signed. And so that's a great result. So it's not every, we don't do this in every country in Africa, especially countries that are considered as frontier. And I think the perception of Sierra Leone is increasingly changing because as investors, we are transaction driven. You know, it's because you see transactions coming, but you start changing, oh, okay, I see something is happening in Sierra Leone. And I think it's certainly the case for us, and hopefully it will be the case for more investors soon.
Yeah, definitely look forward to collaborating with Babako on more deals in Sierra Leone. Kofi, across West Africa, I mean, there's a very, very large infrastructure gap. Most countries suffer power cuts. What is SAWA doing to support Sierra Leone in that regard? And can you just talk a bit more about your upcoming transaction?
SAWA. You said what is?
SAWA Energy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Thank you. First of all, thank you. Thanks for considering Betmai for your next investment. And I'm a non-executive director of EcoBank, so I'm not going to get up the 25 million. So that excludes me also. So Sierra Energy, obviously energy. Sierra Leone needs energy. I think I'll start with mentioning briefly that if you look at the mining industry today, you can see a rush. Probably you're not seeing it in the news, but we as business people in Sierra Leone can actually see it, especially with the new dynamics around the world. There's a rush to get into the mining space, particularly to come in and grab concessions, even if you're not ready to actually build. What does that do? That actually opens the door for even more energy. You see that, and all the discussions you had around agriculture, you have a similar trend there. Sierra Leone is very critically placed for a hub for our region, not only the Mano River Union, but generally when you look at from the port and so on and so forth, it's very well placed to use that as a hub, that country as a hub, to get across to all the neighboring countries. So the very first thing is, it's a good landing zone. Like the Chief Minister has mentioned, one of the most safe countries in Africa. So it's a good place to come into. We have tax concessions. You want to, where do you want to invest? That's the question. You want to invest in a place where there are problems. Right now, there are difficulties. It's very hard. If you want the best and most crucial building contract today, where do you go? Gaza. So, basically, the same way, this is just reality. The same way, if you look back now at Sierra Leone with all the difficulties we have, it's the right time to come into Sierra Leone and invest. And if I twist that around to energy, today I mentioned yesterday a number of the areas that are being looked at, how and what is going on in the energy space. Firstly, we have the collection account, which has been supported by World Bank to put together. It hasn't been signed off. It's on the way and it's nearly there. In fact, because of those discussions yesterday, I made some phone calls aggressively today and found out that EDSA is going to actually start publicizing payments done to the IPPs on a website. That's another huge step forward in anticipation of the collection account. We have a lot of noise around the world on energy in Sierra Leone. We have the Mission 300 Compact. Everybody knows those monies are far away, but it's the beginning of getting there in generation. You also have the MCC Compact, which is already halfway there. This is coming in to establish, strengthen the transmission and distribution components. The government is more and more willing to open up the space for generation in the private sector. So now's the time to actually dig in. You have another factor, like our project, Sierra Energy, doing a first phase of 28 megawatts. The second phase is 60 megawatts, coming in on the first phase at 10 cents per kilowatt hour to today's energy cost of 23 cents plus in thermal, automatically, clearly gives a reason for the government or the Ministry of Finance to be able to afford to pay the energy bill. That's the very first thing. Apart from everything else, you're coming in cheap, meaning you've already laid the background for that to come in. Now, a last thing on that aspect is also the utility, EDSA, which has gone out on a tender for privatization, a 20-year concession. There was a whole long list around the world, as bad as Sierra Leone is, but everybody was trying to get in. They were shortlisted to 6 companies around the world, and I think 1 or 2 companies have been able to deliver on the tender process. It has been closed, managed by World Bank, and there will be a choice on that, which means for the next 20 years, a private sector is basically going to manage EDSA. This private sector is the same as any other IPP coming in. Everybody is coming in, investing and trying to get their money back. And if you look at that with all the opportunities opening up, plus the fact that you can export from Sierra Leone on the CLSG Transco line across the country, opens the opportunity for evacuation, the whole bankability thing, bankable. We are bankable. On our project, all the documents, the feasibility studies were done by internationally credible companies around the world, like Knight Pisold in Canada, Midgard Consulting, Knight Pisold in USA, Midgard Consulting in Canada. Here in the UK, Norton Rose. Asked some of the government lawyers. Some of them were sweating when they were in the room negotiating the PPA. Hogan Lovells. So it was tough. It was a really tough situation, and they do, as we know, when you want funding, unfortunately, you have to see this guy's signature on documents. That gives it the credibility. That's where we are today. So all of these things are in place. Environmentals. CPC or so was saying yesterday, 80,000, 400,000. We spend millions of dollars on environmentals, which it's been taken very seriously. Plus we've got $1 million grant from USTDA on environmentals. So a lot of work, like we mentioned, data, everything is in place to come in and fix this. It's the right time for investors to come in. We're open for that. There's our financial advisors in France, Finnegreen, currently are running a competitive process to see which partners will get in expectation of closing this project in the Q2 of 2026. It takes about 18 months to 2 years to build and will be commissioned. And once that's commissioned, we've done it before, I mean, then it will be getting too late for others to come into the space.
Thanks.
Can I go on? Or?
No, thanks. Thanks a lot for this pitch. It's a very, very for this pitch. It's a very, very important project for Sierra Leone because power is a staring gap, especially I understand in Freetown and other places. So.
And it's a government priority project, as you say. People like to hear it. It is. And just to put a last joke, during the elections of 2020-something, the last election, both parties, the APC and the SLPP, who were competing, used this project as a delivery for the elections. That's how important this project is. Thank you.
So certainly you're going to deliver in 2026.
Yes, I have to.
All right. Valerie, Thomas touched on this earlier on. We DFIs prefer to have everything tied up, all the sides of the transaction tied up, so that we can provide either debt or equity. But I think one of the things that's largely overlooked is the importance of technical assistance. Can you talk a bit more about the work ARIA is doing in helping to address transaction challenges in Sierra Leone?
Thank you, Governor, for the question. So for those who are not familiar with ARIA, I'll give a brief introduction to ARIA, then I can answer the question as well. So ARIA is a program funded by BII, Proparco, and FMO with the aim of unlocking capital in frontier markets, so low-income, underserved countries. So we are present in 7 countries now, including Sierra Leone. And we have been able to facilitate the 2 transactions that have been talked about today, the BII EcoBank Risk Share Facility, as well as the Proparco Jolax transaction last year. And we still have opportunities in the pipeline that we are facilitating. We often see that companies in Sierra Leone and in the markets that we operate in are raising capital for the first time, or they are not familiar with the DFI investment process. And so that's where technical assistance becomes very critical in terms of helping the companies to become investment ready, just getting them to understand the investment process that they're going through, and also using the technical assistance funds to unlock bottlenecks that happen along the way when the transaction is happening. So in terms of key themes that we typically come across, one is financial management. So companies may not necessarily have the audited financials, or they don't have the right person in place to produce the accounts. So those are challenges that we see when it comes to closing transactions. We also see challenges with governance. So how the company is registered, who sits on the board, how is the group structured? Because oftentimes in Sierra Leone, you find that companies are part of a group, but then it's not structured properly. So that's where ARIA can come in and help you to structure the group or your company so that it's easier for DFIs to invest in. E&S, environmental and social, is also another key theme that comes up. It's very important for DFIs when they're doing their investment. So if your project is impacting wildlife, community resettlement, those are all key themes that the DFIs look out for. So they don't want the project that they are financing to have a negative impact on the environment or the communities that businesses operate in. So our technical assistance will help the business to navigate doing the ESI, which is the Environmental Social Impact Assessment, and putting in mitigating measures to reduce the risk, to give the DFIs comfort. And it's not just DFIs. Even when we look at impact funds, private equity investors, venture capital investors, these key things are important, and that's why we provide technical assistance. And Invest Alone is also another program that's funded by the UK government that is also able to provide technical assistance alongside ARIA so that we're able to get companies investments ready, and then they can cross the line when it comes to the investments.
Thank you very, very much, Valerie, for the work that ARIA is doing in help getting past transactions and future transactions investor ready. I'd like to open up for questions for the audience. Right.
Yes, thank you. So I spoken to...
Name and organization, please.
Yes, Wahid from BII. I spoken to Minister and I said, given the work that you've done in Sierra Leone in a short period of time and the dynamism that you brought into the market, so what are your views on getting this regional, benefiting from Sierra Leone as being a platform where it is ready for business, but also can be expanding to regional countries around it? And what are the potential to expand beyond the frontier of Sierra Leone and get to the neighboring countries? And that would be very attractive for international investor who wants to see size, who wants to see market exposure?
I can bring my 50 cents to the table. In our last two agro investments, the first one, Jolax, is selling regionally, so they are exporting their products in the region. And the other one is actually the other way around. It's an investor from one of the countries in the region that invests in Sierra Leone. So there you go, it works both ways. You can export products from Sierra Leone in the region, and Sierra Leone can also attract local companies to invest in Sierra Leone. So,
and at the same time, you can export your produce you do in Sierra Leone to the regional countries without any taxes. Yeah. So the window is open. Yeah. We are also looking at other hydro projects in Liberia and Guinea at the moment. So, for example, down to an assembly plant. You can do an assembly plant in Sierra Leone and supply the rest of the region. Yeah.
Because, I mean, for us, I mean, just as Kofi says, we have operations in Ghana, South Africa, Tanzania. So what we're doing in Sierra Leone can apply to other African countries as well.
Yeah.
And some of the challenges that entrepreneurs often find dealing regionally is getting paid. So within the EcoBank group itself, if you look at the Mano River Union area, we're present in Liberia, Gambia, Sierra Leone, Guinea, as well as Ivory Coast. So we're able to facilitate regional payments. Where necessary, we can even make it happen in local currencies where there's a challenge with obtaining the hard currency to do business. So we actually do actively encourage our customers who want to be able to sell within the region or to purchase within the region, and we've got products to facilitate that process.
So to conclude on that, if you are ready to invest and it needs to be regional, we can sign today.
That said, I think there's a lot to be done in Sierra Leone, enough to be done in Sierra Leone as well. Any other questions, please? Last question.
I'm just going to speak loud. My name is Robert Hornsby. It is on? Now it's on. Okay. My name is Robert Hornsby. Jobomax Global is my company. We're building homes in Guinea, Ghana, Sierra Leone, Cameroon. I will say, I will echo the message about how safe Sierra Leone feels. I try not to make a habit of leaving my wallet behind in a restaurant, but Sierra Leone is one of 2 countries where people have chased me down to give me back my wallet. Japan is the other.
Thank you.
My question is about investment policy as it relates to foreign investment coming into the country, because there's a lot of things that we like about Sierra Leone as a place to invest. One of the interesting differences between Sierra Leone and Guinea is Guinea was where we started first. In Guinea, we have a wholly owned subsidiary that can hold land title, transfer that title to our buyers when it's time to transfer title. And that is a critical part of our business because we offer financing to our home buyers, and controlling that land title is a critical part of providing the security to be able to get the investment dollars to offer that financing. In Sierra Leone, we have to structure things in a way that we have a 51% local partner that owns that operation. We're lucky that we have a good partner that we can work with, and we have a good business. But I'm curious, otherwise it would be a little bit of a constraint for us, given the nature of our business. And I'm curious to hear your perspective, and this is for anybody that has perspective to offer, on how Sierra Leone manages that trade-off between being completely open and letting foreign investors, have full ownership of what they do, versus balancing that control of having Sierra Leone involvement in the ownership.
I probably would like to defer that question to the Honorable Attorney General.
So before he speaks from a private perspective, I think one of the things, unfortunately, me being a pusher for local content, which is extremely important for your success in working in the country, and you have a number of other countries, ensuring you have a partner with a very serious stake in the project is extremely important for your success. That's the start. The laws and all how that's structured is one thing. But the relevance of succeeding in the country, this is an area that is key. How you structure the financing and who puts what and all of that, you can always work that out. But it's extremely key that you have that component, in my view.
Yeah, partnerships are very, very important. Okay.
I think it's on. Yeah, so apologies if I missed, some part of it, but I think what I got, and, based on explanation here is, I think a question of land title, right?
It's about the requirement to have a 51% ownership by a local partner for holding land and
Foreigners don't own land.
Well, of course, it's also because, as per law, as a foreigner or a foreign entity, can really own land, but that does not preclude a foreign entity from getting like a long-term lease. So that is an option to explore. It's the law requires that you can get a long-term lease as a foreign entity, but yes, in terms of ownership, there has to be like a majority stake in the hands of a local.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm not the expert, but I think it's now 50 years plus 25, so you can get 75 years straight.
Thank you very much, panelists, for a very, very insightful debate and conversation about transactions in Sierra Leone. Thanks a lot. James?
Okay. Thank you very much to our, it was a very interesting panel. Thank you very much to all of you. We're running very short on time, but I'll ask the second panel of ecosystem initiatives and innovations to address, and I will invite Alex Kusharski, BII Director, Market Creation, Christina Clark-Lowes, Investment Lead, Investor Loan, and TA Lead, ARIA, Leon Green, of the Sierra Leone Chamber of Commerce and Agriculture, and Minister Salima Ba, Minister of Communication, Technology and Innovation. I invite you to the panel. And somebody had a mic. Was it Maggie? Yeah. All right, so first of all, I'm going to apologize in advance because it's not the fault of the previous panel, it's just because we've started late, so we are pushed for time, so we can all see how little time we've got. But obviously, the Chief Minister yesterday emphasized this point, the importance that all that this does and that we do translates into something tangible and meaningful for the people of Sierra Leone. So, impact itself is interesting, and it's really good to see and understand what we mean by impact. So, perhaps by way of introduction, we'll just start with a round of questions. And Alex, BII has made significant investments already into Sierra Leone and a commitment to more. So what visible results are you looking for in terms of impact in Sierra Leone?
I've got a mic here, thanks. So as most people probably know here, we've chosen to prioritize Sierra Leone as BII, and not just to invest more, but to build the ecosystem. And I think that's a bit of a slogan these days, and I wanted to really unpack what that means in practice. So, normally when investors come to a country, they'll scan the market, they'll look for the top opportunities, they'll hopefully do one, maybe two deals, and then they'll go to the next country. And those deals are obviously impactful in themselves, they'll create jobs, but does much change in terms of the ecosystem on the ground? I'm not sure, and I think that's why as at BII we've chosen Sierra Leone as one of the countries where not only do we want to significantly step up our investments, but we also want to invest and use a variety of other tools, including partnerships, including technical assistance, including leveraging events, convening, and even relationships that BII has to kind of galvanize the ecosystem. So that we don't just do a few deals that are exciting, but that we can, in a few years' time, show that we've played a role in Sierra Leone and, as Chief Minister said, on that vision to become a middle-income country.
Thank you. And Christina, you have been, as we've heard in the previous panel, at the center of a lot of the stitching together these transactions and these deals. What then do you think, how do we systematize getting this impact as a routine product of these investments from your point of view?
Yes, thank you, Jokes. And I kind of wear two hats in my role working in Sierra Leone. I work on the FCDO-funded investor loan program already since 2019, working on many of these challenges and opportunities. And also, I think for 3 years now, on the ARIA program, which both share the mandate to mobilize additional capital to Sierra Leone. And Valerie put it very well already in the first panel of all the work we do with the businesses. But I think what she hasn't touched on is also the broader work we do in order to create momentum around Sierra Leone and change a bit the perception of Sierra Leone. And I mean, that's why we're all here today, right, at AFSIC, to put Sierra Leone on the map for investors and also make sure that investors come to the country. So we facilitate regular country visits as well. This very strong partnership between the Investor Loan Program and the ARIA program. We host investors to come in to visit opportunities. So we help them with pipeline building and origination support and also bringing down transaction costs overall, just to make sure that Sierra Leone is at the forefront of investors' minds as well when they're looking at building up their pipelines. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great one. And I think Walid is sitting here in BII, and I think it was when he came to Sierra Leone and got a real feel for the place, that's when the EcoBank transaction materialized. You sort of shared that story before, so it's a very good example of how, at a very basic level, just that people-to-people connection is important. So, Bjorn, you are a key player in the Sierra Leone Chamber of Commerce, and we just had a conversation about effectively local content. In other words, of course we want to comply with and be in accordance with international practices, but we are trying to develop the country. And from the Chamber's point of view, and we're thinking about the ecosystem, what can the Chamber do to really strengthen the impact of these kinds of investments and also just make it a lot more localized? What are your thoughts?
I feel that again, I wear two hats as well, because I'm also on that implementing committee for the African Free Trade Agreement. So I'm a bit privy to a few more things. So what the Chamber is, the Chamber can act as a bridge between the private sector and the government. And one of the key things is what we're pushing for now, because the Ministry of Trade has been really helpful in pushing through what we're trying to do. We don't want to just be beneficiaries of laws that are made, or I guess disadvantaged by laws that are made. We're actually now pushing forward. We're having meetings with the Ministry of Finance to know that what goes on in the finance budget, what kind of impacts it has on businesses, so we're actually pushing through a lot of the policies and the decisions that are being made. And as you can see now, Sierra Leone's quite stable at the moment. We're moving forward. There's a lot going on in terms of, even we were discussing about mobile money earlier on. There's a lot going on in terms of the finance and how we're moving forward. So what the Chamber's trying to do is just to be that bridge that can, link everything together. And I was listening to the gentleman that spoke earlier on today, that spoke just now about, the local content, about the land policies and stuff like that. Within the Chamber, there are key business players that can actually partner up in situations like that. So one of the things we try to do, if somebody comes in and they're looking for investment or they're looking for certain things, work with the chamber. We have the record of all the major business people. Most of them are part of the chamber. You can partner up. There's people that can actually maybe even invest. So that's what the chamber's trying to do.
Yeah, I think that key role of facilitation and being that link, I think, is important. Madam Minister, you are at the forefront of developing the tech sector. And so when we think about impact, you've talked about the gig economy, you've talked about the young people, and you're developing the Startup Act. So what does impact mean in the context of your worldview and your mandate?
Thank you so much. I think when we think about the digital economy and where we're looking to go and what the impact we're measuring, obviously we're measuring youth engagement, that is either in entrepreneurship, that is looking at the startups that we're growing, not only growing but are scaling up and not just for Sierra Leone but scaling up outside of Sierra Leone. We're looking at youth in the digital skills, and not just digital skills for Sierra Leone, but youth that are participating in the global digital economy and looking at the tech talents and how they're growing outside of Sierra Leone. And one of the biggest things we're pushing on is the idea, as you mentioned, the gig economy, really pushing that message along that young Sierra Leoneans who acquire these skills no longer have to leave Sierra Leone to be able to get these opportunities. They can be based in Sierra Leone and be able to get some of these job opportunities. And that is because of the foundation that we've laid. And one of the most critical foundation is the infrastructure foundation. For you to be able to access a job remotely, you have to have the internet facilities that is there. And over the past 5 years, significant investment has gone in, over $250 million. That's between government, development partners, and our private sector, who have been really instrumental in building the infrastructure as it is. As the Chief Minister mentioned, we're almost 99% 3G, we're around 80% 4G. We launched the first 5G open access network in West Africa and Sierra Leone. And we're looking to even do more. Right now, we're looking to land another cable in Sierra Leone, and that is going to be, as we have investors in the room, I think it's a great time to plug this in. And that is going to be through a partnership. World Bank is supporting government equity into this consortium, but it's going to be a partnership with private sector investors being able to put money to land that cable, and so many others within that. So for us, impact in growing the infrastructure, we're measuring that because we know it's a key foundation. Not just for the tech sector, by the way, we know for every other sector, for the financial sector, energy sector, and so many others, and businesses, it's a critical infrastructure. We're going to measure the startups that are growing from Sierra Leone entrepreneurship. We think we have a couple of a couple of tech businesses that we believe could be unicorns within the not too distant future. I'll plug them in because yesterday I thought was a great example. We have one of the most innovative fintech companies in Sierra Leone called Volt. Yesterday, my driver sent me a message, they needed money for something at the house. I went to my Volt app, transferred money from my bank account to my Volt wallet and sent it to his mobile money in Sierra Leone, and he's able to go and cash it out within 30 minutes. We think that is amazing when we talk about financial inclusions and where that is going, and I would say it's M-Pesa on steroids, if you will. So we see where the sector is going, we see the value, we see the growing maturity of the ecosystem, and we believe that with added investment and where everything is going, we think there's no reason why Sierra Leone can't play a key role within the region as a hub where innovative ideas are tested, seeded, and scaled from Sierra Leone.
Just to make this inclusive, I will take one, maximum 2 short questions, if we have questions from the audience. Any hands shooting up? If not, yes, sir, right at the back with the hat.
Thank you very much. My name is Ben. My name is Ben Swinkels. I was working 30 years for FMO, the Netherlands Finance Company for developing countries. And my last time I was working in... Again?
Sorry, somebody's AI just said that's a long tenure in AI.
I hope that my personality will be the same after this conversation. I have two things. Is that I started working for FMO and I was assigned to work with projects in '82 in for Sierra Leone. So I have been there 30 years. In that time there was no roads, there was not very few things. I started to work maybe 5 years ago to come back, and I was very interesting in the financial sector as FMO and what I did. Also in a lot of other countries, and I contacted two institutions which was under the central bank control. My question is, how is these banks now? Are they still available for selling to new investors, or is it still the control of the central bank?
Which are the banks? Do you remember the names?
The
two. Okay, so it's the two government-owned banks, Rokel and Sierra Leone Commercial Bank. That could be a longer conversation. I will just allow the Chief Minister to say yes or no, but then take it outside. Would you like to give a monosyllable, whatever that word is?
Yes, but actually one of them is looking to get some more investment from private sector. It is government majority owned, and I know that one of them is in the process of getting. So it might just be a lucky moment.
Something to take forward. Thank you. Now we're running out of time. So and I was saying to the Chief Minister, these conferences are great. They're really, really wonderful. This has been positive yesterday, today. We have the after party tomorrow. But the question is, what are we going to take back to Freetown and work on? And I have advocated for a 100-day sprint where we pick up some issues and drive them. So if it's the startup bill that needs consultations or whatever it is, all of us. And so I want us to make clear commitments now. Within the next 100 days, what is the one thing that we are going to do, or that we think could be useful to do, to really strengthen the impact dynamic of the wonderful work we're all doing? 100 days, one thing, impact. Alex.
100 days. I think we need to think really bold and come up with some creative new ideas, not kind of same old, more of the same, but actually, you know, if you challenge us for the next 100 days, like what can we do that's very different? And I've got a few ideas.
Give us one, concretely. AI, listen.
Well, I'm very encouraged about working with the Minister of Agriculture. I think we're going to work on a few sectors, but within agriculture, we've got this big investor visit in a couple of weeks, and I think this brings a big momentum to pick up a few projects that he was showcasing, maybe help them get off the ground, bring a bit of technical expertise to get them investment ready. The government's thinking about creating some sort of financing mechanism, so helping with some ideas around that. And yeah, maybe getting Sierra Leone on the map for agriculture investors, leveraging our networks to bring a few more investors in. So yeah, that's sector specific, but I do think we need to go sector by sector and, you know, have a sprint around the next 100 days.
Okay. Christina, on the ecosystem, what is it? 100 days, one thing.
Well, I'm going to build on what Alex said as well, and really building on the momentum and and all of these great success stories that we've had, even just in the last year, of all of these transactions that have been done in Sierra Leone, and leveraging that new excitement and momentum for Sierra Leone. I mean, we're all here, we're all excited. And we have very strong advocates here in the room. Alex is one of the biggest ones, probably. So yeah, to really jumping on that train, communicating the message to the broader world out there, and really changing the narrative, because successful transactions can be done, and they have been done, and we need to do more of them.
Excellent, thank you. Change the narrative. Mr. Green.
Yes, sir. Definitely reaching out to the government institutions and trying to push through some policies that we think will be beneficial to the private sector. That's going to be the first, and then we want to have a conversation with, I've forgotten her name. So we're going to speak with Aria to maybe try and work with some of the existing companies under the chamber to see how they can help them get investor ready.
And one thing we might want to do is to revive there used to be a very high level dialogue between the chamber and the president at the end of the year, each year. And that's something that hasn't happened recently, but I think it would be a strong symbol of the spirit of the public and the private sectors working together. I saw the Chief Minister nod his head when I said it. So it's a deal, it's a dialogue.
We had a conversation also with Tex, the Minister of Trade, and the plan, so hopefully you guys can all help facilitate that. The plan is for the president to be at the dinner this December.
Precisely, and that's less than 100 days, so that's a fantastic one. Round of applause, please. Madam Minister.
Within the next 100 days, we're hoping to close out the agreement on the procurement, launching the procurement for the cable landing. So really inviting the private sector to come on board, those that might be interested in participating in that. And by the way, we're going to partner with our regional countries, Guinea, Liberia, Gambia. We're all in alignment with them. So I think it's a fantastic opportunity for private sector investors that are looking to invest in digital infrastructure.
Fantastic. And we've had some really good conversations. Yesterday, today, it will continue. But we must translate this from words into action. I mean, this is already the manifestation of a lot of very good effort and action already. There's much more to do. We have to be realistic that there is that. But I think we should go back to Freetown with a very strong sense of accomplishment. The feedback from the investors has been overwhelmingly positive. And I think that we're able to see Sierra Leone in a fresh light as a result of that, and to see the prospects for what we do in a fresh light as a result of that. So with that in mind, and bearing what we were saying yesterday at the BII event, that we're really talking about an escalator where we start at the base, but we move all the way up to a higher level. I think we've all got work to do, and we are delighted to be part of the team working in that direction. So I'd like you to please help me in thanking our panel. And I want to, Alex, Christina, Bjorn, and Salima, thank you very much. If you could kindly give a round of applause. Thank you. And I want to make a point that though we were robbed of 20 minutes by a bigger country, wealthier than us, we have finished on time. Thank you very much.